The glass doors of the Zenith Marketing Group, located on the 45th floor of the city's most imposing skyscraper, did not just slide open, they parted with a silent, judgmental hiss. To work at Zenith was to be part of the elite. It was a world of sharp Italian suits, the scent of espresso and expensive cologne, and the relentless, rhythmic clicking of heels on polished marble floors. But for the employees of the creative department, the office wasn't a sanctuary of innovation. It was a gladiator arena, and the emperor giving the thumbs down was invariably Marcus Sterling. Marcus Sterling was a man who believed that fear was the only valid currency in business. He was in his late 30s, handsome in a predatory way, with hair slicked back so severely it seemed to be pulling his face into a permanent sneer. He wore cufflinks that cost more than most of his employees' cars, and he walked with a strut that suggested the ground should be grateful for his footsteps. He was the regional director, a title he wore like a crown. His philosophy was simple. If you aren't crying in the bathroom at least once a week, you aren't working hard enough. Under his reign, turnover was high, morale was subterranean, but profits, at least on paper, were steady, which kept the board of directors at bay. Into this shark tank walked Leo. Leo was 24 years old, with a mop of unruly brown hair that refused to be tamed, thick-rimmed glasses that constantly slid down his nose, and a wardrobe that consisted primarily of oversized cardigans and chinos that looked like they had been bought at a thrift store. He had been hired 3 weeks ago as the executive intern, a vague title that Marcus interpreted as office maid. Leo was quiet, clumsy, and perpetually apologetic. He walked with a hunch, hugging files to his chest, as if trying to make himself invisible. On this particular Tuesday morning, the atmosphere in the office was brittle with tension. The Obsidian Project, a massive rebranding campaign for a luxury car manufacturer, was due in 2 days. The team had been working 18-hour shifts. "Coffee!" Marcus's voice boomed from his corner office, a glass-walled cage that allowed him to survey his kingdom. "And if it's lukewarm again, I'm pouring it on someone's head." Leo jumped, dropping a stapler. He scrambled to pick it up, his face flushing pink. "Coming, Mr. Sterling, right away." Leo rushed to the break room. His hands shook slightly as he operated the complex espresso machine. He wasn't shaking from fear, though everyone assumed he was. He was shaking from the effort of suppressing his true nature. What no one at Zenith knew, what not a single soul in that glass tower suspected, was that Leo's full name was Leonard Vance III. He was the only son of Leonard Vance Sr., the billionaire founder and owner of the entire Zenith conglomerate. His father had recently fallen ill and was looking to retire, but before handing over the keys to the empire, he had given his son one final task. "Go into the company, Leo, not as my son, but as a nobody. Find out why our talent is leaving. Find out who the real leaders are. And find out who is poisoning the well." Leo finished making the coffee, a triple-shot soy latte, no foam, exactly 190 degrees, and hurried back to Marcus's office. He knocked on the glass frame. "Enter," Marcus barked, not looking up from his phone. Leo placed the cup on the coaster. "Here you are, sir." Marcus took a sip, paused, and then made a face of exaggerated disgust. He slammed the cup down, splashing hot liquid onto the pristine white desk. "It's burnt, you idiot. Did you burn the beans? Do I pay you to be incompetent, or is it a hobby?" I'm sorry, sir. It's the machine. I think the pressure valve is—" "I don't care about the valve." Marcus stood up, towering over the intern. "I care about excellence. And looking at you, you are the antithesis of excellence. Look at your shoes, scuffed. Look at that sweater. Did your grandmother knit it before she went blind? You are an embarrassment to this floor." Leo looked down at his shoes. "I'll make another one, sir." "Don't bother." Marcus waved his hand dismissively. "Go clean the conference room. The board is coming tomorrow for the acquisition announcement. I want that table to shine so bright I can see my reflection in it. And Leo, if I see a single smudge, you're fired. I don't care who hired you."
As Leo retreated, clutching a roll of paper towels, he passed the cubicle of Elena.
Elena was the polar opposite of Marcus. She was a senior graphic designer, a woman in her early 30s with tired eyes and a talent that held the department together. She was a single mother of two, working double shifts to cover the bills. She was also the only person who treated Leo like a human being. "Hey," Elena whispered, pulling Leo aside. She handed him a chocolate bar from her secret stash. "Ignore him. He's in a mood because the obsidian pitch isn't ready. You're doing a good job, Leo." Leo smiled, a genuine, warm smile that transformed his face for a second before he hid it again. "Thanks, Elena. I'm okay. Really." "You shouldn't let him talk to you like that," Elena sighed, looking at Marcus's office with disdain. "He's a bully. He steals our ideas, screams at us, and takes all the credit. Last month he fired Toby just because Toby asked for paternity leave. It's toxic." "Why do you stay?" Leo asked softly. Elena looked at the photo of her kids pinned to her monitor. "The mortgage, the insurance, and I love the work. I love creating. I just hate the politics. I keep hoping that one day, the big boss, Mr. Vance, will see what's happening. They say he's a good man." Leo's heart clenched. "I've heard that too," he murmured. "Maybe he will see, sooner than you think." The rest of the day was a nightmare. Marcus was on a rampage. He tore up a junior copywriter's draft and threw the confetti in her face. He made the receptionist cry because she didn't transfer a call fast enough. And he kept piling work on Leo, filing, cleaning, fetching lunch, then sending the lunch back, then fetching it again. Late that evening, the office was mostly empty, save for the cleaning crew, Leo and Elena. Elena was frantically working on the obsidian pitch. The client wanted luxury but accessible. It's a paradox. Marcus says if I don't have a finished mock-up by 8 a.m., I'm out. And I can't lose this job. Not now. She looked on the verge of tears. Leo looked at the screen. He put down the mail cart. He hesitated. This was dangerous. He wasn't supposed to show competence, but he couldn't watch her suffer. Can I try something?" he asked. Elena laughed, a dry, hopeless sound. "Be my guest, Leo. I'm out of ideas." Leo sat down. His clumsy demeanor vanished. His fingers flew across the keyboard and the drawing tablet. In 20 minutes, he sketched a concept, a sleek, minimalist design that used negative space to create the silhouette of the car within a landscape of everyday life. It was brilliant. It was emotional. It was perfect. Elena stared at the screen, her mouth open. "Leo, who are you? This is genius. Where did you learn to do this?" Leo shrugged, shrinking back into his shell. I just like to draw in my spare time." "Do you think it works?" "Works? It saves my life." Elena hugged him impulsively. "Thank you. I'm going to finalize this. You go home. You look exhausted." The next morning was the day of the big announcement. Rumors had been swirling that Zenith was being fully acquired by the Vance Family Trust, and a new CEO would be named. The main conference room was packed. The mahogany table was gleaming, thanks to Leo's late-night polishing. Marcus Sterling stood at the head of the room, looking immaculate. The board members, serious men and women in gray suits, sat waiting. Elena was standing in the corner, holding the presentation boards, looking nervous but hopeful. Leo was standing by the door, holding a tray of water pitchers, back in his role as the invisible servant. "So, Mr. Sterling, show us the obsidian pitch. The client is waiting." Marcus smirked. "Of course. My team has struggled, but I stepped in last night and finalized the concept myself. It's important to lead from the front." Elena flinched. She looked at Marcus, betrayed. He was taking credit again. Marcus unveiled the board. It was Leo's design. The room gasped for appreciation. "Brilliant," one board member muttered. "Visionary." "Thank you," he preened, adjusting his cufflinks. "It came to me in a dream, really. It takes a certain level of sophistication to understand the luxury market." "That is a lie." The voice was quiet, but it cut through the room like a razor. Everyone turned. It was Leo.
He was still holding the water tray. Marcus's face turned purple. "Excuse me? You, the intern? Get out. You are fired. Get out now." Leo didn't move. He set the tray down on a side table with a deliberate clatter. He took off his thick-rimmed glasses and placed them in his pocket. He ran a hand through his messy hair, pushing it back from his forehead. He straightened his spine, and suddenly the hunch was gone. He didn't look like a clumsy boy anymore. He looked tall, imposing, and remarkably like the portrait of the founder hanging in the lobby. "I said," Leah repeated, his voice dropping an octave, becoming smooth and commanding. "That is a lie. You didn't design that, Marcus. Elena did, with a little help from me." Marcus laughed, a nervous, high-pitched sound. "Security? Someone call security? This lunatic is hallucinating?" "No need for security," Leo said, walking towards the head of the table. The board members looked confused, then shocked as they began to recognize the features. "And actually, Marcus, you are right about one thing. Excellence is important, but integrity is non-negotiable." Leo reached into his thrift store cardigan and pulled out a sleek, black ID card. It wasn't an intern badge. It was a gold-level executive pass. He threw it on the table, it slid across the polished wood and stopped right in front of Marcus. The name on the card read Leonard Vance III, owner and CEO. The silence in the room was absolute. It was a vacuum that sucked the air out of Marcus Sterling's lungs. He looked at the card, then at Leo, then back at the card. His face drained of color, turning a sickly shade of gray. Mr. Vance." "Hello, Marcus." "Surprised? You shouldn't be. My father always said you should know everyone in your company, from the janitor to the director, because you never know who is holding the keys." He turned to the board. "For the past 3 weeks, I have been observing this department. I have seen talent squashed. I have seen abuse normalized. I have seen a man," he pointed at Marcus, "who uses fear to mask his own mediocrity." He walked over to Elena, who was frozen in shock. "This woman," Leo said, placing a hand on her shoulder, "has been doing the work of 3 people. She stays late. She mentors the juniors. She treats people with kindness, even when she thinks they can do nothing for her. That is leadership." He turned back to Marcus, who was now trembling, sweat beading on his forehead. "Marcus, you told me yesterday that I was an embarrassment to this floor. You were wrong. The only embarrassment here is you." "Sir, please, I was just testing him. It's a management technique, stress testing. I didn't know. I have a mortgage. I have a reputation." "You had a reputation. Now you have a history. You are fired, Marcus, effectively. And don't worry about your things. I'll have the intern pack them up." "Oh, wait. That's me. So I guess you can pack them yourself." Marcus looked around the room for an ally, but the board members looked at him with disgust. He had no friends here, only victims. He grabbed his briefcase and hurried out of the room, the clicking of his heels sounding frantic and retreating, stripped of all authority. Leo took a deep breath. The tension in the room broke. He smiled at Elena. "Elena, I believe the position of regional director is now open, and I can't think of anyone better suited for it. The obsidian pitch is yours. Lead the team." Elena burst into tears. "Leo, Mr. Vance, I don't know what to say." "Say yes. And please, call me Leo. Just maybe don't ask me to make coffee anymore. I really am terrible at it." The boardroom erupted in laughter and applause. In the weeks that followed, Zenith changed. The glass walls didn't feel like cages anymore. They felt like windows. The fear evaporated, replaced by a culture of collaboration. Leo, no longer in disguise, proved to be a leader who listened more than he spoke. He didn't wear cardigans anymore. He wore suits, but he kept the door to his office open. One afternoon, Leo was walking through the creative floor. He saw a new intern, a young boy who looked terrified, dropping a stack of papers. A manager was walking towards him, looking annoyed. But before the manager could speak, Elena stepped in. She helped the boy pick up the papers. "It's okay. Take a breath. We've all been there." Leo watched from a distance, smiling. He touched the rim of the glasses he no longer wore, tucked in his pocket as a reminder. He had learned the most important lesson of business not in a boardroom, but pushing a mail cart. True power isn't about how loud you can yell, but how far you are willing to bend down to help someone up. And for the new owner of Zenith, that was the only bottom line that mattered.